Hello guys, I have to speak about this one. On the other hand, we have kind of the huge changes in Donald Trump's rhetorics, but on the other hand, I do not expect the huge changes from the White House. I'll tell you later why. But for now, Zelensky somehow put the new software in Donald Trump's brain, causing Donald Trump to tell completely different stuff to what he was telling even days before. And let's go to this True Social post that Donald Trump tweeted yesterday. After getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine-Russian military and economic situation, and after seeing the economic trouble it caused in Russia, I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all Ukraine back in its original form. Yeah, it was a single sentence here just for you to understand of how Trump really writes, or someone for him writes that, but the sentences are damn huge with all of those commas. So before he told that it's kind of useless and stupid to fight against the country which is 15, and later on he said 20 times larger than your own, but now he says that Ukraine is in a position to fight and win all of the Ukraine back. I have so many questions. First of all, to Zelensky. Is he some sort of the hacker or witcher? Because this is totally upside down, 180 degrees turn or how you call it. And no one expected it, absolutely. And here we have this post. And already Macron reacted on this one. Zelensky himself like, hooray, Donald Trump finally understand the thing or something like that. Well, I don't believe that Donald Trump understands something, as he said, getting to know, fully understand. No, he doesn't understand still. And maybe the next call to Putin or Witkov's visit would cancel this software update for the new Russian one. But reading this stuff from Donald Trump, it is not fake, and for now it's not yet been deleted. Well, it's kind of interesting. Let's continue. With time, patience, and financial support of Europe, and in particular NATO, the regional borders from where the war started is very much an option. Why not? Well, here I have question, what is the start of war for Donald Trump? Because originally the start of war is from the occupation of Crimea back in 2014. That there was no support for Ukraine, let's be honest with that. Moreover, there were negotiations with Ukrainian power by the time to give up Crimea without any sort of the fights. It was confirmed that Barack Obama administration definitely pushed Ukraine for that move. So Ukraine just withdrew the forces from Crimea and that's it. But then the war expanded towards Donbass. Okay, then Ukraine started to fight, and by the time there was already president-elect, as far as I remember. So the start of the war started from the occupation of Ukraine back in 2014. But before, there were the signs from the Donald Trump's administration to recognize Crimea as the Russian one, and now it seems like they don't want even to recall that, yeah? Let's continue. Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years of war that should have been taking a real military power less than a week to win. So 3 days, remember how Russians call their propaganda. In 3 days, we're gonna take Ukraine, we're gonna take Kiev, and now in a few months, it's gonna take the same time as the war between Germany and the Soviet Union. Just imagine this war, guys. The scale of it, how long it lasts, and what devastation it brings. Crazy. And it seems like even Trump is surprised about it. This is not distinguishing Russia. In fact, it is very much making them look like a paper tiger. Wow. That's really a name. It's open mocking of Putin's army and Putin himself, I guess, with this. As Zelensky mentioned in his interview yesterday, that Putin told Donald Trump that he's capable to occupy the vast part of Ukraine in a few months. But it seems like Putin didn't manage to do it, and the summer offensive for Russians mainly failed. We see the result on the front lines. If you watch my videos, you know what is happening there. Russia is just scrolling little by little. That's why Putin called them a paper tiger, because Putin is not fulfilling his promises to occupy Ukraine and finish the war like that. And this scenario is pretty much okay for Donald Trump. Then the people living in Moscow and all the great cities, towns and districts throughout Russia find out what is really going on with their war, the fact that it's almost impossible for them to get gasoline through the long lines that are being formed, and all other things that are taking place in the war economy, where most of their money is being spent on fighting Ukraine, which has great spirit and only getting better. Oh my god. Ukraine will be able to take back their country in its original form. And who knows, maybe even go further than that. Scheiße. Oh my god, this is crazy. Further than original form of Ukrainian state. So attacking Russia or what? No, we don't need someone's territories. No, we are not like Russia in any sort of the point. But this is hilarious. I can imagine the face of the Russian elite, Russian propaganda by the time they were reading this. Oh shit. Well, again, it doesn't mean that this software will stay there for long in a Trump's head, but what is happening now, it's hilarious at first, and it's quite positive sign, let's say. Here Trump is not telling that there will be a direct military support of Ukraine, but via NATO he says we're gonna like support Ukraine in some way, yeah? But this is interesting. Putin and Russia are in big economic trouble, and this is the time for Ukraine to act. So he's like encouraging Ukraine to act, but we need your support, Donny, support from the United States of America to act in the most efficient way, right? In any event, I wish both countries well. We will continue to supply weapons to NATO for NATO to do whatever they want with them, but United States is the part of NATO. Good luck to all, Donald Trump. Well, I already checked the Russian media. They say that it was the sarcasm from Donald Trump. He said that if Ukraine wants to win, let's go and win. He says like, oh, you want victory? Go and win, like do it yourself. But I don't think so, honestly. Otherwise, it wouldn't be such a big post. And later on, White House also posted something interesting. Like I also posted it on my Telegram channel. This is the official page of the White House. With this photo, Zelensky is facing Donald Trump from behind. And what they say, or Donald Trump says, he's a brave man and he's putting up one hell of a fight. POTUS, so President of the United States with Zelensky. Crazy. What happened to you don't have cards and you're playing with World War III? Yeah, exactly that was said during the first meeting between Zelensky, Trump and J.D. Vance. And my Telegram followers, they were posting like different reactions and stuff. Yeah, I like my Telegram followers. I like you too, my friends, but subscribe for my Telegram because here we have some of the conversations, even some of the chatting. It's hilarious. After the meeting with Donald Trump, Zelensky went to the Fox News where he mentioned that relations with Donald Trump has been improved. Let's watch this one.
Your relationship with President Trump seems to have improved. Is that fair to say?
I think we have a better relation than before. And I think we didn't have a close relation because we didn't have maybe time. I don't know. I don't know other reasons. It's good that we have often phone calls and meetings. And I think the fact that Putin was lying to President Trump so many times also made a difference between us.
You know, I know.
Yeah, that's nice. That's the good explanation, I would say. And after all, you know, Trump is so biased in favor of Putin, Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un. He sees those leaders as the huge power, you know, in their countries. Then, in fact, even Prigozhin showed that it's not like that. All of the dictators are the same, so Putin's regime is not that powerful as it looks. And people, Russians in that case, if they would be fit with something else, like Prigozhin I mentioned, yeah, they would agree on that. Putin's power is of course not infinite. But what's about Donny? Well, again, those are the fluctuations with kind of the big amplitude this time, but I think that Donny will stay Donny after all. I do not expect, as I mentioned to you many of the times, anything good for Ukraine from the current United States president. I would be really shocked and surprised if United States of America resumes direct military support for Ukraine as it was with the previous White House administration. And Donny may write everything he wants towards Zelensky, Ukraine, and how good he really is, good relations, blah blah blah, but the actions are most important, and Ukraine needs the support of the United States, not those tweets. So Donny, please, if you really think like that, you may help Ukraine if you're really supportive towards democratic world, but I think you are not. Because United States even canceled the program for the Baltic states defense, the most crucial program one of those. Yeah, for the countries which are bordering Russia, at the same time, United States are also lifting the sanctions from Belarus, so Russia will obtain the spare parts for the stolen airplanes. Trump again says about excuses of not to apply sanctions against Russians. In the United Nations, he told that we may apply sanctions against Russia, but with European allies it would be like better thing to do. So first Europe should stop buying Russian gas and oil, and after that we're gonna implement sanctions, and Europe also should do the same. But at the same time, Orban, who is Trump's friend, is buying the most of the Russian oil out there from all of the European countries. Well, Trump promised to speak with Viktor Orban to stop him from purchasing Russian oil, but I don't think Orban would listen to Trump. Well, maybe, but there are elections coming soon in Hungary this spring, so Orban doesn't need the prices to go up. He will refuse this proposal 100%. Zelensky mentioned that it was probably the most fulfilling meeting from all between Ukrainian president and the American one. Well, I also think like that, especially Donald Trump. He was so encouraged by this particular meeting that even later on, when he was speaking to Macron, president of France, he mentioned again that Russia is the paper tiger. Wow. And again, no one was expecting it to happen. It came out of nowhere, but the result is quite good. We'll see for how long it might last, because after all, it's better to have good relations with the United States, with the president, whoever he or she is. Now it's he, and he is Donald Trump. But Ukraine has to deal with him as well, because the lives of Ukrainian soldiers, they depend on American military support, on American financial support, and relations between Europe and America in the global security, right?
What progress do you think has been made on ending Russia's war against Ukraine since the last time you saw President Zelensky?
Well, the biggest progress is that the Russian economy is terrible right now. It's, as you know, it's crashing. And that, frankly, Ukraine is doing a very good job of stopping this very large army.
Alright guys, so we are in this new timeline with you. We'll see how far it might go, but it is better than it was before, I would say. A Polish president in the United Nations, it's kind of the case where I agree with him.
I believe that the root causes of Russian aggression are primarily ideological. Russia refers to an imperial vision that treats entire nations as a colonial property.
Yeah, it was always like that. So within the Russian Empire, within the Soviet Union, there is metropolis, Moscow, and the rest are vassals or slaves, yeah, to that great part of Russia. By the way, that is how Russia continued to trade their own republics or oblasts of Russia. Yeah, the most, if not almost all of the money are going to Moscow and a little bit to St. Petersburg. The rest of the Russia lives in poverty, and that's why they have so many volunteers to join the Russian army for millions of rubles. My friends, please check out my channel for the new updates from the front lines. I filmed it not long time ago. We have awesome news coming from Pokrovsk-Dobropilya direction, and in general there are multiple of the areas where Ukraine keeps initiative. Yeah, Russia propels in some of the areas, but elsewhere Ukraine also has some of the small counterattacks, which altogether might bring some of the big benefits, especially in Pokrovsk-Dobropilya. And also, my friends, please subscribe for me on Patreon. The link for my Patreon page is in the video description just below, or you may support me on membership of this YouTube channel. Yeah, only if you have this opportunity or possibility to do it. If not, just press your like and subscribe for the channel. That would do. Thank you so much for your kind support, whatever it is, and I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.